Hey, what's up, guys? It's Eli Fishman from TalkingBall.net and YouTube. Eli Fishman Sports. Today I'm happy to be joined by former big leaguer and current New Britain B Brandon League. Brandon, thank you so much for coming on today.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it. You were drafted and played at every single level, including 6 years in the big leagues with the Toronto Blue Jays organization. You didn't really break out until you were traded, but you played 6 years in the big leagues with them. What were some of the things that they taught you and how they developed you that led you to be the ball player you were in the big leagues and that you are today?
Well, when I got drafted by the Blue Jays, coming up with the organization, I was primarily a starter in the minor leagues, and it was until my AA year where I asked to see what would happen if I moved to the bullpen, and had a really good early success with that, and that led to my call up when I was 21, and after that it kind of the next 3 years kind of bounced up and down, and I was lucky in the big leagues. Our bullpen with the Blue Jays had a lot of veteran relievers, and learned a lot from them, and a lot of stuff that I carried on throughout my career.
You were traded with a minor leaguer for Brandon Morrow, and you went to the Seattle Mariners in 2009. At first, what was your reaction when you heard that you got traded, and looking back on it, what do you think of it?
It was kind of a surprise. You never expect to be traded. It happened in the off season, so I was actually playing catch when my agent called me and told me that I was traded to the Mariners. A little sad to be leaving my teammates who I came up through their organization with, but also excited to be with a new team, be on the West Coast, be closer to home, and also have my first Arizona spring training.
In 2010 is when, with the Mariners, when you really made a name for yourself as one of the best relief pitchers in baseball. You were the new team. What made everything come together and click that led you to have such a big year?
Well, sometimes just a change of scenery. Being on a new team, new division. I don't know, just pitching more regularly in regular situations. I don't know. I don't really have an explanation. Really worked well with the pitching coach there that I had at the time, Rick Adair, who was also my pitching coach in AA. So working with him again was nice, and it just happened for me that year in 2010. Got some closing opportunities later in the year when our closer David Arzma was hurt for a little bit, and then and it ended the year on a nice high.
The next season you had was your All-Star season. You pitched in the All-Star game in Arizona in 2011. Can you talk to me about, an MLB All-Star game? You have hundreds of thousands of people watching on TV, a full capacity crowd. All the attention is on the All-Star game for, that week. Can you just talk to me about taking part in this big event and that whole experience being in the All-Star game?
Yeah, it was definitely an honor and humbling experience to be part of that. Just looking at the roster up and down, names on that roster, just take back and just enjoy the experience as much as you can, as fast as everything's going. That during that All-Star break, it was awesome to have my family there. My wife, three kids, were able to fly out and enjoy that home run derby that first night, and then actually being able to pitch in the game. I think I pitched like the 7th inning or something. Can't remember, but that was another experience I'll never forget.
On June 8th in 2012 against the at Safeco Field, you pitched in a combined no-hitter. No-hitters are always special in the MLB. To go down in a combined no-hitter in Seattle Mariners history, can you talk to me about that game and looking back on it, how special it was to be part of a no-hitter in Major League Baseball?
Yeah, being that it was a combined no-hitter, and there was 5 of us that pitched in that game, or 5 or 6, can't remember. But no, you don't really realize, that you're a part of something like that till about the 8th or 9th inning. You're just going out there and trying to help the team win, essentially. And it was funny that that happened against the team that I ended up getting traded to, which was the Dodgers. So I mean, that was also a nice experience. Yeah.
Yeah, you would play a few more years in the big leagues, but then a few years ago, 2015, I believe, you had a couple arm injuries that rocked your career back a little bit. Right now, you're in independent ball. It's your first year in indie ball. You're with the New Britain Bees in the Atlantic League. Can you talk to me about this league? You're probably, if not one of the biggest names in the league. How do you like this league? And just going around the Atlantic League, how have you liked the experience?
Well, yeah, having shoulder surgery in 2015 was kind of like a shake-up, because I've never had surgery before, so I didn't know what to expect or what was going to happen. But being able to even pick up a ball again was a bonus, and kind of let me know that my career wasn't over yet. And coming here and after not pitching for 2 years, just trying to get my feet wet again, and getting used to live games was just something to be grateful for. And this is definitely another experience I'll never forget. It's interesting here. It's nice. The guys are great. I couldn't ask for better teammates. And Stan, our manager, and Andy, our trainer, have been great as well. Just working with me, being patient with me, knowing that this is a long road. There are going to be a lot of ups and downs, and grateful that they've hung in there with me. But so far, we had a rough first half. We're kind of getting to know everyone, and the second half is a new start, fresh start, and we're showing the league, that the team that we're supposed to be.
All right, thank you so much for joining me today.